Arne Slot's Liverpool team is flying high at the halfway point of the international break, having made a flawless start to the new Premier League season. 3 victories from their initial matches against Bournemouth, Newcastle United, and Arsenal were followed by the £125 million signing of Alexander Isak, ending a summer-long transfer saga and making the Swedish international the most expensive player in British football history. However, the other side of the break will see a more intense fixture schedule for the Premier League leaders, starting with Burnley at Turf Moor on Sunday. This will be followed by a Champions League match against Atletico Madrid at home, and then Everton at Anfield for the first Merseyside derby of the new term. And ahead of the return to club football, Liverpool have been handed a major boost, reports the Liverpool Echo. Curtis Jones was among the few who reported for duty at the AXA training centre on Tuesday, as those not on international duty begin to focus on the Premier League's return this weekend. Jones played a crucial role off the bench in last Sunday's 1-0 victory over Arsenal at Anfield, but was overlooked for the Three Lions squad by new manager Thomas Tuchel, who handed AC Milan's Ruben Loftus-Cheek his first call-up in 6 years for their matches against Andorra and Serbia. Consequently, Jones reported for duty at the Kirkby base on Tuesday for a session as the Reds start to prepare for Sunday's trip to Burnley. With Alexis Mac Allister, Dominik Szoboszlai, Florian Wirtz, and Ryan Gravenberch all away with their respective international squads, Jones will be hoping for a recall this weekend after a full week of uninterrupted training back in Merseyside. With 3 fixtures crammed into 6 days, Slot might utilize his entire squad depth, potentially giving Jones his chance at Turf Moor following a complete week of preparation. Following a frantic and record-breaking transfer window that concluded last week, Arne Slot has had the opportunity to reflect while many of his players are away on international duty. Alexander Isak was the final and most costly addition of the summer, with all eyes now on his debut for the Reds following his £125 million move. However, there are doubts about the immediate impact he will make, given that he spent weeks on strike to secure his departure from Newcastle. Slot will be hoping that all his stars return to Merseyside in top shape as they aim to secure their 4th consecutive win when they face Burnley on Sunday. Here, the Daily Star Sport looks at the latest Liverpool news. Liverpool's new record signing dismissed suggestions that Liverpool had requested Sweden to limit his playing time in the recent World Cup qualifiers. Isak spent the summer training separately from his Newcastle teammates and sitting out matches to facilitate his dream move to Anfield. While this strategy paid off on deadline day, it means he is lacking match fitness for both his new club and country. Sweden manager Jon Dahl Tomasson left him out of their first match against Slovenia and only gave him 18 minutes in their disappointing defeat to Kosovo. It was later suggested that an agreement between Liverpool and Sweden meant he could only play less than 20 minutes, a claim Isak denied. The striker said, "Not that I know of. I'm with the national team now. Clubs and national teams have contact, but it's between them in such cases." Adding, "It's hard to know exactly how many minutes are right." However, Tomasson dropped a hint about his constraints with Isak, revealing to Viaplay, "That was the maximum number of minutes I could give him." Despite their flawless beginning to the campaign, Slot is still making alterations behind the scenes and is keen to bring in 2 additional coaches. The Isak reports that both a physical performance analyst and first-team physical performance coach are currently being sought. Slot's backroom team has already undergone several transformations following Johnny Heitinga's departure from Anfield to take charge at Ajax. Giovanni van Bronckhorst stepped in as his successor, whilst Aaron Briggs was appointed as the club's official set-piece specialist. Harvey Elliott was among the players who departed Liverpool on transfer deadline day, joining Aston Villa on a loan arrangement that will become a permanent £35 million switch. Nevertheless, that move only came to fruition following months of conjecture surrounding RB Leipzig. It was expected that the German outfit would table a substantial bid in the window's closing stages, but the Athletic report they declined to exceed £17 million. A switch to the West Midlands was subsequently finalised, though Liverpool included a buyback provision that could potentially see him return to Anfield. Aston Villa won the race for Harvey Elliott on transfer deadline day after a summer of speculation as to where England's European under-21 champion might end up. It was clear Elliott needed to pursue a move away from Liverpool after sitting on Arne Slot's bench far too frequently last season. Elliott only started 2 Premier League games last term, and the 22-year-old will look to establish himself at Villa Park under Unai Emery. Although the deal is initially a loan, there is an obligation to buy clause inserted into the contract which will see Elliott become a villain for £35 million next summer. Villa also bagged Jadon Sancho on loan from Manchester United, while Victor Lindelof signed on a free transfer after leaving Old Trafford to further bolster Emery's defensive options. But Elliott was their marquee capture after a summer in which the midfielder was coveted by clubs across the continent. German side RB Leipzig made a play for Elliott earlier in the window, but according to The Athletic, they were only willing to stump up €20 million, which is around half of what Villa will eventually pay Liverpool for his services. Leipzig wanted Elliott to replace Xavi Simons, who joined Tottenham Hotspur in a deal worth £51 million, but they couldn't get close to Liverpool's demands and negotiations were cut short.